Welcome aboard the National Geographic Orion. We're heading down to Antarctica, the seventh continent for many and one of the most exciting and wild places on the planet. This is true expedition. We're not really sure exactly where we're going to go. We have a general idea in mind, but Captain and I are going to work very hard to make sure we find great weather and lots of exciting things for everyone to do. We're hoping to find whales. There should be humpback whales, there'll be seals, we'll be seeing crab-eater seals, and of course, penguins. Lots and lots of penguins. It's a challenging place, it's an exciting place, and it's one of my favorite destinations. It should be a fantastic trip, and I'm looking forward to it. We're all excited. Welcome aboard the National Geographic Orion.
Well, we're here. It's our first almost morning in Antarctica. Just past midnight, and it's just the most amazing light right now. We're just rounding the tip of the continent, coming down into the Weddell Sea, and it's just this kind of perpetual sunset right now, and we're weaving through this big field of brash ice, and there's little icebergs with penguin colonies floating past the ship, and really captures the magic that everyone was waiting for.
It's 2 o'clock in the morning. We've been cruising along the edge of some brash ice with great big pieces of pack ice here in the northern part of the Weddell Sea. And we have this incredible light. It's like red, it's pink, everything's blue and purple. And then all around us, the deep thundering blows of humpback whales. We've had so many humpback whales, maybe like 5 or 6, just staying steadily around the boat, feeding mother and calf. These huge, great big adults. Incredible, amazing, once in a lifetime experience actually. Amazing. So good.
Oh my gosh, what an extraordinary welcome to the Antarctic Peninsula. We are just beginning a landing here at Paulet Island, which is just at the very northeast tip of the Antarctic Peninsula, and it is the most stunning day you could possibly ask for. We've got Adelie penguins, must be 15,000 pairs nesting here, but we do have some room for the guests to maneuver around. Perfect conditions, flat, calm, bright sun. You don't get a better day than this, so welcome to Antarctica.
We are surrounded by Adelie penguins. They are everywhere. These are a tough little penguin, the smallest of the brush-tailed penguins that we will see along our trip. The Adelie penguins weigh about 9 pounds when they're really fully adults, but these birds nest the farthest south, so they are really adapted to the cold environment. What we're seeing whenever the Adelies stand up are 2 little small chicks. We think that some of them are maybe even 10 days old, possibly even 2 weeks, yet there's still some that are sitting and incubating eggs. We are at this amazing stone hut where 17 men and their captain, Carl Larsen, overwintered in 1904. Having brought Nordenskjöld down here to do scientific research farther down in the Weddell Sea, Carl Larsen was on his way back to do some whaling and head to South Georgia, where he shipwrecked and had to spend the winter here, being the only person who knew where Nordenskjöld was.
So this is one of my favorite places on the island up here in the amphitheater. There's just a lot going on, and it's a really dramatic sight, you know. But they nest basically every year. They come back, they're very site specific. They come back to the same colony and a lot of times the exact same nest. It depends on the year, how much snow is and where they are. That's why so many penguins are up on these hillsides, because those are the places that get windblown during the winter. So there's a less volume and depth of snow that covers that area, so it gets uncovered earlier in the year. And so it's really worth the extra expense of energy to be climbing back and forth up there because they get an earlier start on the season, and this is such a short nesting season that any advantage they can get is, you know, really good.
Here we are in the fast ice at Deuce Bay. We're still in the Weddell Sea side of the Antarctic Peninsula. Winds kicked up, so we came around to get some shelter. We found this big section of fast ice, frozen sea ice. And we'll have a party out here in the blizzard.
3, 4, 5, go!
Yeah!
Wait, I won. No, I won. No, I won. I think we both know I won here. No, I won.
Now we serving mimosa. Nice.
Wow! Woo!
Two of our longtime Lindblad staff members who've been together for many years have decided to tie the knot, and they've asked the captain to do a marriage ceremony. Congratulations, Rich and Mary Lou.
So we're here today to celebrate the marriage of Mad Dog and Mary Lou. This will be a bond for a lifetime, a bond of love and faith. We shall not forget love in all this. A good marriage is very many things, but it is foremost a choice of love.
With this ring, I do wed and join my life.
And Mad Dog, as you place this ring on Mary Lou's finger, please say with me, with this ring I thee wed and join my life to you.
With this ring I do thee wed and join my life to you.
So having openly declared yourself in accordance with the laws of the Antarctic and the whole universe before everyone here, and most of all before your own inner selves, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Now you may kiss and celebrate.
I've been really lucky throughout my life. Gotten to do amazing things. But the best thing was meeting Mary Lou. I never thought I'd find somebody so kind and intelligent and caring.
And for me, we have had an amazing life. We have done so much together, and I also never thought I would find someone who loved adventure, who loved creativity, and the wild world as much as I did. I didn't know that when I found a man from Montana that he loved whales. Who would have thought? But I found a very special person, and to this special person, I give my life.
Oh, thank you, Ronnie. Whoa, that's heavy.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. To everyone, thank you.
To Mary Lou and Mad Dog.
This morning we've arrived on Devil's Island. The snow is falling and it's summer solstice. It's a magical day here. The geology is amazing. There's lichen on the rocks, shale everywhere, and some of our guests have hiked up to the peak to look at some incredible views surrounding us. There's a bunch of Adelie penguins here, about 10,000 chicks is the nearest estimate, making a racket, fighting for rocks, and sitting on chicks. These chicks can be, they're about 2 weeks depending, but they're the southerly-most nesting penguin in the world. So these Adelies are adapted to live in the coldest conditions. They have feathers that go all the way down towards the tip of their bill. So their bill looks a little bit stubby, but it's actually just covered in feathers to keep them warm. So the Adelies, like all penguins, have very densely packed feathers. This allows them to remain warm and insulated in the cold, open ocean. They trap a layer of air in their skin between the feathers and their body that insulates them. In addition, they have blubber inside that keeps them nice and warm, just like seals. Their feathers, similar with other brush-tailed penguins in the Pygoceles genus, have a very stiff tail. They use their stiff tail, and here's an example of their feather. This is a tail feather that we found on the ground. It's extremely stiff. They use it to balance, so they press up against it and that helps them balance, and they use it in the sea as a rudder to help steer. On the shore of Devil Island, we are surrounded by ice sculptures. It feels like an art gallery. We're here visiting these sculptures that have actually washed ashore and melted down to be smaller size, growler size, which we like to call them. And each one has a very different character, and it's amazing to get to look at them up close and see all the different nooks and crannies that have been carved out by the sea.
So this morning we got up nice and early. We always like that. To see a couple of humpback whales lunge feeding here off the bow of the boat. And it's a beautiful morning actually for photographing them. It's nice overcast skies, beautiful light, and the whales have been very, very active. The trick to this is to keep your eyes on the water, and just before they surface, you'll see a lot of disturbance and you start shooting. You don't want to wait until the whales are actually up. Kind of start before they get there, and then you get them as they're coming up above the surface.
Well, here we are at Courville this morning. It's a beautiful Gen 2 penguin colony, nice island. But we're surprised when we got ashore that there's a little wiener elephant seal. Not a usual species for around here. And she or he was sleeping up on the snowbank. And after we got about half the guests ashore, it decided to come down and investigate our life jacket barrels. And we had to move away and make some room for this little wiener.
Now you can see he's undergoing his or her catastrophic molt, and so all of that fur, all of that old skin and stuff, that's getting lost, and new fur's coming through. So that's what we're seeing now, and it's a little baby wiener. The big bull males can grow up to 6 meters, which is bigger than a walrus. It's absolutely mammoth. They're huge, and they're also the deepest diving seal on the planet. They can go down to like 1,430 meters below the surface of the water, and down there they've got this incredible orb-like eyes, and they're packed full of rod cells. So they've got very good detection of like light and dark, and they're looking for squid and other tasty morsels down at the depths. And they've also got all these vibrissae. Can you see like the lovely eyebrows and all the whiskers, and they help them to hunt in the dark as well.
Imagine that huge meal that you've just had and top it off with a beer, right? And all of a sudden you let out this big belch.
Now, can you continue a little further?
All at once. I said, you know, I hate to anthropomorphize them, but my goodness, we all felt like he did. It was really great.
So if you are Adelie penguins, remember they want the kind of thing, but you have to make your heads go back and forth. Ready?
Okay.
Yeah, to each other, right? So if you go to the right, she goes to the left.
So
Right.
like to
Yeah,
each
that,
other.
and then that. Yeah, that's it. And you got to make the noise. Perfect. Now you got to be Gen 2 penguins, and they sound more like donkeys, and they don't do this so much. They bow. And they raise their heads and they go, Ready? Okay, and delicious. Oh.
Salud. Salud.
Salud.
Anybody else? Is there Steve? Wow.
My husband and I have been all over the world traveling, and this is the most beautiful place we've ever been to, and we sure are having a great time.
This is my 7th continent, and it is gorgeous, and it has been a wonderful trip.
This is Nico Harbor, the most beautiful place I've ever seen. You can see the ice floating on the water, the ship in the background. Any other place in the world, if this were in the United States, this would be a national forest or a national park. Amazing, amazing place. I'm just blessed that we were able to come to this place and share it with my family.
Repitan muy bien. You have to repeat.
Penguin paradise!
Bum sliding season is officially open! Woo!
Okay, here we go. Woo! Woo, that's fun.
Do you high five?
It was pretty great. Diving in Antarctica is an extreme sport. We are rolling into the coldest possible waters you can dive in anywhere on the planet, but they are nonetheless spectacular. Diving here requires some very, very specialized equipment, everything from our dry suit and our layers, 3 pairs of socks, 2 pairs of toe warmers, and some specially heated undergarments to keep us warm under these icy waters. Coming to Antarctica, the marine life that we love seeing from the surface, the penguins, the seals, the whales, the seabirds, these are all marine species and they are all intimately linked to the ocean. And the Southern Ocean may seem like a vast, unexplored place, but some very, very exciting marine life and ecosystems exist underneath the surface. Despite being incredibly cold, below freezing temperatures, these waters are rich with dissolved oxygen and nutrients to support very, very abundant marine life. The majority of the ecosystems that we find down here are dominated by very, very healthy kelp forests and rocky reef ecosystems. Kelp forests in these cold waters are what coral reefs are to warm waters.
We find an abundance of a variety of species, everything from beautiful red iridescent algae to larger golden-bladed kelp species swaying in the current. Many of the animals that we see diving in Antarctica are dominated by invertebrates, particularly the echinoderms. These are our spiny-skinned animals, and best noted here by our sea star, the most common of which is the Odantaster sea star. This is a very colorful species that is a prime example of the characteristic of this group of animals that has the pentaradial symmetry. This Odantaster sea star is one of the most common animals you'll find in these shallow Antarctic environments and is a generalist omnivore, feeding on pretty much anything it comes across. One of our other usual suspects we find in Antarctica is the humble limpet. This is a non-coiled type of snail. Although they look incredibly simple, they are very, very slow-growing, complex animals that can live up to 70 years. One of the highlights of our dive experiences down here in Antarctica was finding these areas of the sites we were diving that had these very obvious vertical substrates, and this provides a really important habitat for a whole different sort of organisms to thrive. So everything from encrusting sponges, bryozoans, and tunicates that are sedentary organisms and very, very colorful and cover absolutely every inch of the substrate that we see. Not every animal that we see in Antarctica is capable of moving around. So for those that are attached to the substrate, they have very unique adaptations for being able to survive and catch their prey. So everything from filtering water in and out to having very specialized stinging cells to capture prey, like sea anemones. One of the famous top predators of the Antarctic ecosystem is the impressive leopard seal. This is a very large animal that can grow up to 12 feet long and is a generalist predator, feeding on everything from krill all the way up to larger prey, including penguins and smaller seals. Getting to see a leopard seal, even just on the surface, is a very unique experience, but having the chance to encounter this animal underwater in its element was very special. One of my favorite things about diving in Antarctica is not only are we diving in places where possibly no one has ever dived before, but it adds a complete big picture understanding of this marine ecosystem. And most excitingly, while we're in a location that is dominated by ice and water on the surface, underwater in Antarctica is where we find the color. Not only is it colorful, it's completely adapted to very extreme living in sub-freezing temperatures. So we are getting to see some very weird and wonderful animals that call this place home. Antarctica is a beautifully raw and wild place, and it is such a privilege to be able to bring to the surface what makes the Southern Ocean ecosystem so special.
So crab-eater seals like these are, they eat krill, and they live till they're about 15-20 years old, so not super long lived. I think that's probably a product of living in a harsh environment like Antarctica. They're quite social in terms of the pack ice seals, and they are a species of pack ice seal. They're about 500 pounds. Crab-eater seals, and they're pack ice seals, like I said, so the female is slightly larger, and the other species of pack ice seals are like leopard seals, Ross seals, Weddell seals that we met yesterday, but they eat krill, and every single year they will eat 20 to 25 times their own body weight in krill. It's got scarring around the face, which is typical of the males. They fight between themselves during the breeding season. Oh no, his mouth isn't open. He's got a massive gash along the underside of his jaw. Yeah, so you do see a lot of scratches and scars on this species actually. It looks like a war wound to me. It's a breeding competition, so that it's not territorial, but it is breeding competition. These kind of aggressive interactions between the males.
This may be the best punch suit I've seen. Wow! You ready? We need to maneuver, you good? Get out of here! Anybody else?
We're here in Lindblad Cove right now, and it is beautifully still with a bunch of brash ice floating around everywhere. Awesome place for a little kayak excursion today. Had a minke whale come up, playing with some of the guests earlier, which was super awesome. Yeah, just kind of surrounded by this giant arm of the Antarctic continent with these huge glaciers coming off. It's nice to get a chance to get out on the kayaks, especially in a place like this that's so still and beautiful with the ice floating around in the water. It really gives you a chance to kind of slow down and just sit without any noise.
incredibly beautiful, and I never realized Antarctica was beautiful. When I thought Antarctica, I just thought penguins.
Welcome to Deception Island, and particularly Whalers Bay. Deception Island has been used for hundreds of years for the whalers and sealers that first came here in the 1800s all the way through until 1933. In 1906, this particular whaling station was built. At that time, shore-based whaling, where the dead whales would be brought in alongside the ships and then hauled up onto the shore at high tide, rendered down in those big iron pots. That process was being changed by new technologies, but also by new understanding. No longer were the carcasses being left out in the water and only the blubber melted down. Now the entire whale had to be rendered. The entire whale had to be used. So behind me is essentially the pressure cooker that cooked down the bones and turned the rest of the whale into fertilizer. Deception Island is an active caldera. We're essentially inside a volcano. It looks like it's all rocky around the edges, but a lot of that is glacier that's covered in ash. The last time the volcano erupted was in 1970. Today, on these ruins, you might see kelp gulls nesting. They seem to be the only birds brave enough to nest inside an active caldera. At last, we got to see the one penguin species we'd been looking for, a chinstrap penguin. This is a really great place to end our journey as we stretch our legs for the last time on the Antarctic, surrounded by in this caldera in this very tempestuous landscape.
I think most of my life, a penguin was a penguin was a penguin, all right? And now when you go and you see 200,000 of one and then some of another, penguin is not a penguin is not a penguin all of a sudden.
My daughter's childhood was based on penguin stories, and now finally we get a chance to see the real thing.
So someone in Florida asked me where I was going on my winter holiday, and I said I was going on a cruise. And they said, "Where are you going?" And I said, "To Antarctica." And they said, "Oh, do you have family there?"
Well, looking at this, I think I've only felt this in two places in the world. It's been going to Africa and the Amazons. It's just like this pristine ecosystem, and you're like lost in this place with these animals.
It was a lifetime experience to see the animals up close and personal in their natural habitat.
And for me to see all the different species of animals, the different whales that we saw, the seals, the birds, and particularly penguins, all 3 species of brush-tailed penguins, it was just a magical experience.
I can't think of a better way to express sentiment about this trip than this lovely poem that Larry Schluer wrote for his wife Monica on Christmas Day. They're a little bit shy to read it, so with their permission, here we go. This is to Monica in Antarctica. It was the night before Christmas, and all through the ship, not a leak was to be found, not even a drip. Our lives vests were stowed in the cupboard so bare, with the hope that St. Nicholas would show up somewhere. We don't have a chimney for him to come down. If he doesn't show up, we'll be wearing a frown. Let's lower the gangplank and give him a path, and if he shows up, we'll offer a meal and a bath. So as our trip to Antarctica starts to wind down, let's always look forward and remember all that was around. Grateful to all those we've met, and especially the crew. Oh, the captain, the bridge, and all that they do. So from the bottom of my heart and a tear in my eye, we'll pack up our bags and prepare to say goodbye. And thank you for such a beautiful poem, Larry.
You're welcome.